I'm here at the side of the silage pit, again just to show you how big it is and how much feed our animals need during the winter. This was the first cut silage, and the second cut silage will be all bales, and they'll be stored at the back of the calving shed, which again will be quite close to where they'll be used, and again reducing the need for burning lots of diesel, and I suppose that economy of labour is, you know, less work for the farmer. Looking at this pit, as I mentioned in the previous video, it was cut with ideal conditions. Now, we haven't tested this yet, but I expect the DMD, which is the dry matter digestibility, to be above 75%. And that becomes so important. And what makes the DMD good is by having dry weather, what you're doing, and letting the grass wilt, that takes away the moisture, and what happens is it becomes higher in sugar. High sugar or high carbohydrates will lead to lactic acid fermentation. Whereas if you have poor sugars and lots of stemmy, fibrous grass, what happens is butyric acid fermentation takes place. And the difference between the two is the DMD. So, for example, if you have lactic acid fermentation, you're going to have silage that's over 70%. And what that means is the bacteria, lactobacillus, are going to turn this cut grass into silage. And it has to be anaerobic conditions. That means without oxygen. Whereas if you have your butyric acid fermentation, you might have something down around 40% DMD. And what happens then is because it becomes less palatable, less digestible, and less productive. And when we're talking about palatability, that's a real kind of a buzzword when you're answering questions in an exam. How palatable, that means what it tastes like. So the animals will not want to eat the poor quality silage. It does not taste as nice. Digestibility then, we're talking about how much of it is actually used for live weight gain, or we could be talking about milk production. And then productive, so how much can you produce with that as well? So how much milk are you going to produce? Just going back to the digestibility, so the dry matter digestibility. So just say, for example, this silage pit, we get tested later in the year and it's 80%. But we have poor quality silage bales that are only 40%. If that was the case, you'd have to feed twice as much of the poor quality silage, like twice as much of that silage to make up for what you have there. Or else you'd have to feed concentrates or feed extra straw, or hay, whatever it might be that you're trying to feed. So making good quality silage is really, really important. And there was a full question in 2024 on dry matter digestibility based on silage preservation.